The landscape of weight loss drugs is ever evolving. There has been some really noticeable steps forwards recently. There's going to be a scenario where you go to a doctor, a professional, and you say, this is the amount of body fat I'd like. This is the type of physique I would like muscle mass wise. And they'll have a specific drug and they'll say, right, this is 20 different variations of this and it will give you 20 different outcomes. What do you want? Welcome to the Fit Dads podcast. My name is Ryan Dutton and I'm joined by Bradders, aka Bradley Thompson.
Thanks, mate.
We are going to discuss the very new, exciting, a little bit scary updates to the weight loss drugs. These things have been around for quite a few years now and they're evolving. They really are in weird and wonderful ways. So we're going to talk you through some of the more recent updates and research that's come out. Quite an exciting company called Regeneron has done some fascinating studies. So we want to spill the beans on what their latest research is, basically.
I'm thinking like Pokemon evolutions. I can see like level 1 was Charmander. Now we're evolving, mate.
As we discuss this more and more, you're going to realise actually how accurate that is. It's a great analogy,
Really?
Actually. Yeah, it is.
For
really
context
good.
as well, I know very little about Ryan's brought this to the table, and I think it's going to be really interesting because I feel like I'm going to try and ask a lot of the questions what the public might be thinking because you're the stat man today. Yeah.
Before we get into today, mate, catch up. How's your week been? All right.
It's been good. I mentioned it on the last one, but returned from holiday and little holiday story. Ted's well into little card games at the minute.
Okay.
He's really good. Uno and one called Dobble.
Double?
Have they Dobble before?
No.
It's really good. A very brief explanation. You have to get 2 cards out. You've got a big like stack of cards, like circle, face 2 up, and then it's basically snap, but they're ever evolving. So every card has always got one thing to gather. Mate, he's quick. He's so quick. But you have to like put your hand down, and then whoever's hand's on the bottom, you have to say what it is that you've matched, and you get that card.
I'm with you.
He's annoyingly good.
Lightning.
He's faster than me.
Yeah.
Unless
those little nimble hands and arms, isn't it? Yeah.
If I've had a coffee, I can school him, but if I've not, he's on it.
I'll get monstered up then before I get on that game.
Mate, I swear he'll own you. He'll whoop your ass. He's really good.
I need to play him at double now.
He's really good. He's not a great loser though, but he's
Gas his kids to a T, innit?
He's a bad winner as well though.
Is he?
Still giving you a big like loser.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's the best part about being a kid, that giving your dad shit when you get one over on him.
It is classmate, and tried to teach him how to swim on holiday as well, which failed miserably. He just wanted to be in his ring and just piss around, which is what it is.
Is he a good swimmer?
He's a pretty good swimmer. Yeah, he's a pretty good swimmer.
Has he done swimming lessons and all that stuff when he was a kid?
Yeah, but I feel like he's regressed a little bit because if he's got the option to stand up, he'll stand up.
Okay.
So as soon as you take that away from him, it's like, oh, you have to swim now.
Yeah.
And he's really good, but he's it's fascinating. And one thing he's really picked up on Ted as well, this is a last holiday story, I promise you. When he does something well or he wins something, he does the Ronaldo
does he?
really loudly.
Okay.
Yeah. And it would become a common thing in the hotel where everyone knew Ted were around when you were like, it's really obvious.
It's a great celebration, isn't it? Iconic.
It's cracking. Before I hand over to you, mate, I've got a question for you.
Go for it.
Are there any cute things that Harlow says that you want to package up and never let it go?
Oh, this question's come at a great time because she's just started saying the best thing ever.
Go on.
I think it's even better than like, I love you. She started saying, Daddy, you're my best friend.
Oh,
I know. How unbelievable is that?
That's going to be trumped by You'll Never Walk Alone, isn't it?
The day we sing You'll Never Walk Alone together will top that day.
That is topped.
But just ridiculously cute. I don't know where she's learned it from.
That's really sweet.
Just the idea that she's cognizant of what best friends are and what that means. Yeah, proper nice, mate.
That is nice.
She's only started saying it last couple of weeks. Yeah.
Reason why I ask is Ted can't really say sees very well at the moment. So if anything's like, he'll say tar instead of car.
Oh, okay.
Everything's got like a T in it.
Proper Yorkshire kid.
And if he wants, he'll go, right, tum on, Daddy. And it's that little tum on. He's like, tum on, let's go.
Okay.
It's just really sweet. But the reason why I asked it is he's combined 2 words. The hand sanitizer, he calls it Hanitizer. Which I just think is really sweet.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to package that up in the form of a podcast to be like, I want to remember that because that would really, it's just nice.
There's certain little things, Harlow says that just the way she says them. one of my favourite things is sometimes after swimming, actually, we take her swimming on Friday and we go for a Greg's afterwards.
Okay.
And she calls it a saucy roll.
Saucy roll. There we go.
I want a saucy roll, Daddy. I thought that was really cute the way she says that.
That is sweet. I feel like that's a nice little intro, I suppose, for people to say, like, look, if you've got any cute things that your kids say, I really want to hear about them, because they do. They really make me. Like,
sometimes
warm
they
inside.
don't mean anything to anyone else. It's just when your kid says it in that moment, it's really nice.
Or really inappropriate. That's a good one.
Yeah,
just really inappropriate ones.
I'm probably more excited to hear those. If I'm honest.
Those. But what about you, mate? How's your week been?
It's been good. Yeah, I'm just making my way through a absolute ocean of injuries. I think I've mentioned this more times than not on the podcast at the moment, but I'm starting to get some answers, which is good. After 15 years of ongoing knee issues, I finally got booked in for a scan, an ultrasound scan. Actually posted a picture online of me getting an ultrasound scan, and the amount of blokes that went, "Is it a boy or a girl?" But I've got some answers now, and I know that I've got what's called patella tendinopathy, which is basically where you have tears in your patella tendon. Makes it very sore. They just don't recover very easily and quickly. I've got actually quite a big hole in my right one and a tiny hole in my left one. And they've just been causing me some real issues. So I'm now getting this thing called shockwave therapy. Do you know what this is?
Is it when they tell you really terrible news to shock you and wave at you?
No, it's a more physical thing than a mental thing.
Never mind.
But it's basically like, what's the best way of describing this piece of kit? It's basically like a dildo looking thing, right? It's sort of like
a wand.
Basically, yeah. A thick wand.
All right.
With a little point on the end.
Okay.
And they just poke it into like the area that needs assessing.
Does the end vibrate?
It does vibrate a little bit. Yeah, it does.
Christ.
And it sends these shock waves into your knees or wherever they want to heal, basically. And what it does is it cuts off the nerve endings, making it easier for them to rebuild and grow. And then it breaks down some of the scar tissue and tissue that's not healing properly, and makes it easier for that muscle or tendon or whatever it is to regrow and build. So I'm getting this, maybe a course of 3 to 6 weeks. They're going to see where we are after 3 weeks. And then obviously alongside that, I've been told the most horrendous news, which is you can't run, you can't train, you can't really do anything on your legs. You've got to do these very super simple, basic exercises on your knee. And this will be the case for the next 12 to 16 weeks, basically.
Wow.
But the thing is, after 15 years of it, I've now got some answers. I've got a bit of a course of action to getting back up and running. What's 3 or 4 months in the grand scheme of 15 years of pain? Do you know what I mean? Not much. And the idea of doing stuff pain-free is actually really exciting. To think that I could do all these things that cause me pain with next to no pain. That's the exciting thought. And I'm sure there's people out there that have had things that have been battling for a long time. My biggest advice is just don't give up trying to search for answers, because there's always something. I've tried everything. I was telling you before, I went to the GB cycling doctor, right, paid privately to go and consult with him for half an hour. He literally just sat me on a bed, wiggled my leg around and went, "Yeah, your knees are fine." Bruised my ego by telling me my quads were small and I needed to build them up. And so I walked out of there super dejected and just feeling like this isn't I'm never going to get this sorted. Now, I'm finally getting some answers. So, it's good. It's exciting. I'm also, as well, alongside all this, going to start doing what I would class as the seediest thing I think I've ever done when it comes to fitness. So there's a peptide, a healing peptide called BPC 157. Have you heard of this?
Is it called the Wolverine peptide?
It is called the Wolverine peptide.
Yes, I've heard of this. Yeah.
Because it's super efficient at making areas heal quicker. Now, I first heard about this when I did my back a few years ago. And I heard that it was an injectable thing that you buy and you inject it into the area and it basically helps that area grow. And I was immediately like, that's fucking steroids. It's too much weird. I don't like needles. No chance. Found out there's an oral version, but the oral version is tricky because when you take a healing peptide, if you take it orally, it just disperses it all over the body. It's not localized. And most people have got some kind of gut inflammation or something in that area that's tricky and needs healing. So by the time it's got out of your gut, there's very little left to actually heal the area that you want to heal it. And especially if you're fighting quite a lot of different things from an injury point of view, that area that you want healing is going to be, maybe last on the list. So I've taken the really radical step of being like, you know what, fuck it, let's just get this BPC 157 and let's inject it. It feels dirty. I've had to go on some weird websites. It was so weird that I had to actually bank transfer the company.
Really?
Yeah. So there was,
okay.
I went through, so I did loads of research online because I want the best stuff, right? I don't want to get stuff that's dodgy. So I went onto the website, started looking at different ones, wasn't sure it was right, looked at loads of YouTube videos, came across this UK guy who was very clearly geared off his tits, knew loads about like injectables, but gave an awesome breakdown, and obviously very intelligent, gave an awesome breakdown of what this BPC 157 was. So I followed his advice, got it from the company, Trident UK I think it is that sells it. And at checkout, he basically said, you can pay through Apple Pay or you can save yourself 2.5% and do a bank transfer. I went, no brainer for me.
Yeah.
But even that is just weird. So it comes in like a powdered format.
Okay.
You have to buy like this mixing solution with it. Then you've got to buy like alcohol swabs, needles, things like that. It's honestly, mate, for me, for someone who's stayed drug-free my whole life, with stuff like this and avoided anything like weird, it's very strange. It's like I'm going to be doing like this little chemistry experiment, mixing all this stuff together up at home. I'm not, by the way, going to inject myself. I just can't face needles. I'm not good with them at all. So I'm going to get. I've got a dentist that I coach, and he's going to inject me once a week. Yeah,
that's cool.
It's come today. The stuff. I'm seeing him tomorrow. So he's going to come over and after his session, maybe before his session, once his arms can actually work again.
Just remind him it's your knee because muscle memory might kick in.
Injecting it into my jaw. So yeah, he's going to inject, because he injects people 40 times a day, right? With like, different things for numbing stuff. So he's like, yeah, I do it as my job. So he's going to come in and once a week, he's going to put 2 mil into each knees. Unfortunately, because it's both knees, it's going to cost me like twice as much almost. And it's not ridiculously expensive, but it adds up if you're looking at doing like a course of like 2, 3, 4 months. So that's the kind of sketchiness around it all. But I'm really hoping this stuff works because everything I'm reading, all the studies, all the research are all showing that this BPC 157 is really, really effective.
I can't help but feel like more stuff like this needs to happen from coaches, and just hear me out, because someone like you who's done the research, you've really looked into it, you understand the safety of it, to document that and to really be aware of it is going to be quite game changing maybe for a lot of other people. Because we had James Wilson on recently, the sleep geek, and he was very open about a lot of his advice, but he didn't want to be like, you need this. That's not what he did, and I don't think that's what you'll do either. I think you'll be like, here's what I'm doing. I don't know if you're going to publicly document it. Is that something that's on the cards?
I've thought about it. I don't know. I think it's a bit sketchy putting it. I don't mind talking about it on the podcast, but putting it online, I think people may just make really quick assumptions about this guy's on gear. It's not. I don't ever want to taint what I've ever done in terms of what I've achieved, how I look. I've achieved everything as clean as a whistle as you can imagine. Creatine is the sketchiest shit I've ever taken, so far. So I don't ever want to taint that, but even just this, I might clip this up, for example, and put it online and let people know. And I may document it. To be honest with you, I'll probably mention it more on the podcast. I think we've got a nice set of listeners who listen to us, trust us, know what we're talking. I like to think they know what we're talking. They know what we're talking about. So I might just share it on here and just give people updates as to how I'm getting on and whether it's working or not. But
maybe some sort of private blog as well. Like if people do want to maybe know a bit more, you can always send them your progress over.
Do you know what? That's a great idea. I've got a blog on the R5 page where I write down a lot of my ideas, so I may send people over there. So, but I'll keep you guys updated. Just for the podcast, exclusive for the podcast.
Yeah. My
BP 157 updates.
And I think if someone is curious about that, like honestly, ask Ryan any questions, because seeing you come to life for that sort of couple of minutes that you were talking about it were really, really impressive. Yeah. So, yeah.
Walter's just doing his little he's actually got his tongue out. Can you see him?
Yeah, that's impressive.
Walter's asleep on the sofa, making those funny noises dogs make when they're having a great time in the dreams, and he's actually got his tongue fully out his mouth.
He's upside down as well, bless him.
Yeah, it's his favourite sleeping position, that.
Is it?
Yeah, he loves that.
Mine too, Walter. Mine too.
Right, shall we get into weight loss drugs and the most recent updates?
Hit me.
Are you ready for this, mate?
Well, let's go.
It's exciting. So, the landscape of weight loss drugs is ever evolving. There has been some really noticeable steps forwards recently. They've gone through several improvements, right? So the semaglutide was basically phase 1. Then we had like Ozempic and Mounjaro come out. That was at phase 2. Phase 3, I guess you could say, is what we call like retatrutide. This is like one of the most recent updates, and this is every time they get more and more effective, by the way. But one of the biggest issues with any drug, and especially the ones that are so new, is obviously side effects, right? The biggest side effect with weight loss drugs has always been three main things, really. Number one is muscle wastage. Number two is loss of, so your immune system drops, basically. And number three is on the tip of my tongue. It's completely left my mind. What was it now? Number three.
Is it some sort of bounce back, maybe, of
nutrient deficiency. Okay. Nutrient deficiency. Right. So it's muscle wastage, immune system drop, and nutrient deficiency. Nutrient deficiency is pretty easily replaceable. You just have like a multivit or some kind of supplement that you can take.
Yep.
Immune system, same thing. You can take things for that. The big one that's always tricky to get around was always the muscle wastage. So how do we get around this muscle wastage issue? And as most drug companies do, they want to try and amend that. They want to try and fix it. So they've started doing these new studies, and they've recently done trials on primates to try and combat this very specific issue with muscle wastage, which is very heavily associated with weight loss drugs. They're doing that by incorporating what's called myostatin inhibitors.
Okay.
Do you know what that is?
They're not like beta blockers, are they?
A little bit the same. Right. So myostatin is a protein that we all produce in the body, and it is a protein that stops us building too much muscle. So occasionally online, if you've actually seen it, there's this like very iconic picture of a bull with a myostatin deficiency.
And it's jacked.
It's like super jacked. It's so jacked and muscular it can barely walk. It's like ultra muscular. Looks like it's been pumped full of every steroid imaginable. It's actually not. It's just got this myostatin deficiency. Some humans have this. I remember seeing this like 6-year-old ones with the most wild traps I'd ever seen in my life. He was jacked, this kid. Yeah, he had a myostatin deficiency. So our bodies actually produce these proteins to stop us building too much muscle. And they call it a myostatin inhibitor when it's input like artificially. So this company called Regeneron Pharmaceuticals in May 2005 investigated the effects of combining the GLP-1 receptors with myostatin and activin A. So activin A is a little bit like a myostatin inhibitor, just a slightly different variation. And they combined it with these weight loss drugs. They actually did it on primates that were obese. And they did it on, I think, around 30 to 40 different primates. Now, they split these into different groups. So group 1 had just the semaglutide. That was the GLP-1 they used. So they gave it just the weight loss drug. Group 2, they gave it a combination of the myostatin inhibitor and semaglutide. Group 3, they gave it the trifecta, semaglutide, myostatin inhibitor, and the activin A. This was over a 20-week period, and here are the key findings. This fat loss combination led to a greater fat mass reduction compared to just semaglutide alone. That was the big thing. So group 2 and group 3, who were on the myostatin inhibitor and the myostatin inhibitor and activin A, not only built some more muscle because of the myostatin inhibitors, but they actually lost more body fat as well. So when you combine the myostatin inhibitors and the activin A with the semaglutide, it makes the semaglutide more effective. So they actually lost more fat mass.
This is how Planet of the Apes starts, by the way, mate.
Yeah, I know there's some super jacked apes walking around some like place about to break out and do a Planet of the Apes scenario. And so let's get onto the muscle preservation. While semaglutide alone was associated with lean mass loss, the addition of the myostatin and activin A inhibitors preserved that lean muscle mass. Metabolic improvements, the combination treatment improved glucose levels, lipid profiles more effectively than semaglutide alone. This is a really, really groundbreaking study. No, the actual results of this, I don't think have been officially published yet. I think a lot of it is kind of like what Regeneron themselves have come out and said. There's not like it's not been peer reviewed or anything like that. It's just what they've kind of initially published from their initial findings. But usually pharmaceutical companies don't come out and say this too early on unless it's like nailed on.
Yep.
So the first signs are looking like this is a really, really effective way of not only losing body fat, but now actually building muscle.
Wow.
This is my prediction, right? I actually think in the future there's going to be a scenario where you go to a doctor, a professional, and you say, this is the amount of body fat I'd like. This is the type of physique I would like muscle mass wise. And you know at some point as well, they're going to add in a performance element. So they're going to add in, like, I don't know, they might get some like blood doping thing in there. They might eat some EPO, for example, into the mix, and that will improve your performance. So not only will you be leaner in terms of body fat, not only will you be building more muscle, but you'll now be performing better as well. And they'll have a specific drug and they'll say, right, this is 20 different variations of this, and it will give you 20 different outcomes. What do you want? How fit do you want to be? How lean do you want to be? How much muscle mass do you want? And they'll just pick off that tray and give you the kind of injection you need. It is wild, right? Really, really wild. And we're in a scenario now where, let's just take out the myostatin inhibitors. This evolution of weight loss drugs is solving hunger. I think, honestly, I'm not joking here, I think hunger is a solved issue. That's how effective these drugs are. And this is a really weird thought, and I had this week actually, about how, like, you've got what it's almost like this dystopian future that we're looking into now, where one half of the world is starving to death and the other half is creating drugs that are stopping them eating too much.
And killing himself with too much food.
Yeah. It's weird, isn't it? Really weird. But my prediction is, obviously, like, hunger now is essentially like a solved issue. And I think that in the future, the same way we take paracetamol for headaches, we just take weight loss drugs for weight loss. I think that's the way the world's going to go. And even when paracetamol first came out, there would have been like your purists. There would have been people who were like, if your head's sore, you probably don't want to be taking pills. Try and sort that out, man up. Do you know what I mean? And people will have rejected those initially. But right now, today, in this world, if you've got a sore head, water's not cutting it, and you need some work to get done and you can't think straight, what's the first thing you do? You just pop a paracetamol, right? And it's unbelievably effective usually at getting rid of that headache. If you want to get in shape, if you've got a wedding coming up, if you've got a holiday, if you just want to feel a bit better about yourself, people, I just don't think will think twice about it. There's a bit of a taboo at the moment around weight loss drugs and them being like maybe a little bit seedy because it's an injection. No one really knows where you get them from. You can order them online, and I'm actually coaching a client now who's taking them. She was taking them before she came to me, so I'm working alongside her to kind of phase off them. She's given me a little bit of an insight into how you get them. It's online, like GPs you can go to. The fascinating thing she told me actually was you have to send photos of yourself every week. Really? Yeah,
wow.
Weekly. Or is it weekly or monthly updates? I think it's weekly. And every week they want to look to make sure you're not taking it too far, which I think is quite a nice precaution to take.
I agree. I'm impressed with that.
Because you can imagine some people just go like to the point where they're malnutritioned, and you can. Let's be honest, it's not going to be long before there's a death from GLP-1s, because at some point, like someone who's anorexic is going to get their hands on it and just put themselves into a coma and eventually death. That's probably what's going to happen eventually. Now, it doesn't mean to say that these weight loss drugs should be banned, because they're actually really effective, and I think people are using them really well. But there's issues, and the issues are still around muscle wastage, immune system drop, and nutrient deficiencies.
Yep. But it sounds like they're one step closer. And I've wrote down a ton of questions there, mate, as well, which I don't expect you to have the answers to.
Okay.
But your opinions seem very well rounded on it, so I thought it'd be cool to bounce some ideas off.
Sure.
You mentioned there about people just walking into a GP and them sort of saying, right, what do you want? Do you want to run faster? Do you want to bench this amount? Whatever. It's almost like boutique care. It's almost like boutique weight loss drugs. That's probably what we're on the road towards when these get a little bit more nailed down. My concern is always the price, whether it all of a sudden becomes privatised. I have this theory about one day the NHS is going to be run to the ground. I feel like it's been laid to ruin at the moment, and when that happens, who knows what's going to happen with privatisation. But I'm convinced that one day the NHS is just going to be on its knees, and whether that's through malpractice from the leaders, I have no idea. I don't want to get too political with it, but I feel like it has been laid to ruin a little bit. And when that happens, there'll be companies like this who can have these boutique weight loss drugs, put a whacking big price on it because I think I read something the other day where there's 4 main human desires, and is it going to make me more money? Is it going to make me look better? Is it going to make me more confident? Is it going to make me healthier? There's a few other human desires, I think. They're the main 4. And quite frankly, that might touch at least 2 of those.
I think you might be surprised at how cheap these are.
Really?
Do you know, I think it's around, to get on a course of like, I think the lady that I'm coaching now, she is on Manjaro. I haven't actually asked her how much she spends, but I know there's been some murmurs around costings, and I think it's around £70 to £80 a month. So £70 to £80 a week.
Like,
£70 to £80 a week.
you'd probably save that on food shop from eating less.
Yeah.
That's mad.
Exactly.
That is absolutely wild.
Speaking of, Walmart has also experienced some big dips in revenue recently. Did you know this?
Are they adjusting the snacks by any chance? Yeah.
Now, the recent crazy shit that's going on with the American tariffs is, I think, having a big contributor towards this. But they do also think the popularity in weight loss drugs is a key factor, because did you know that 1 in 8 Americans has now been on weight loss drugs?
1 in 8?
1 in 8 Americans.
Wow. And America's massive.
Huge. It's bigger over there than it is over here. There's a bigger uptake. And do you want to know one of the reasons why it's so big over there?
I've got theories.
Well, number one, they're only one of 2 nations that actually are allowed legally to advertise on TV their drug companies.
Right, okay.
So we never over here have any drug companies on TV pushing certain adverts, things like that, whether it is in America. They're everywhere.
No, that's a good point, actually. I can't say I've ever seen a drug advert in the UK. That's...
New Zealand and America are the only 2 that allow their drug companies to advertise on TV. Now, this is having a massive impact because these weight loss drugs are being quite heavily marketed. And do you know what area of TV they're targeting the most?
Ooh, what area of TV? I want to say daytime TV. I feel like there's a lot of people sat at home.
I think that's a big one. But, you know, the biggest is sports.
Really?
Sports.
Aspiring sports viewers.
Think about this. You got Larry in America. Sat on the sofa, watching the NFL, stuffing his face with Cheetos, I think they call it over there.
Chips and dip.
Chips and dip, man.
Yeah.
I was going to say shrimp on the barbie. That's Australian. Wrong country. Stuffing his face with chicken wings, burgers, fries.
All the stereotypes.
And he's watching his favourite athlete who's jacked in shape. And then all of a sudden, as he's dipping into his 7th chicken wing, bang, on the TV. Semaglutide. Get as shredded as you want. Just 1 injection a week. Hunger solved. That guy, I don't blame that guy for wanting to sign up.
No.
And this is the big thing now. This is, why over in America it's becoming more popular, because more people are trying it. And when they see these adverts, they think, well, it's on TV, it's regulated by this person, it's FDA approved, it's all X, Y, and Z, it must be okay, let's go on them. So over in America, they're really uptaking this quite quickly, whereas over here, we're a little bit slower to the party. And I think over time, they're just going to lose that taboo label. They will. Like, the Americans always lead the way with stuff like this, and then that kind of culture shift filters over here, right? And then before you know it, it'll become more and more popular. As we did, after the first episode we did on weight loss drugs, I can't tell you how many women actually messaged saying, I know a friend who's been on this, and she's had these side effects. I've thought about doing it. I'm taking them. I've had the X, Y, and Z. More women are taking this than men at the moment, for sure.
At the moment.
Yeah. But I think as we start to kind of go down the route of including this activin A, myostatin inhibitors, and there's now a strength and there's now a muscle aspect to this, I think you'd be surprised how many guys are going to be like, oh shit, I can fast track everything. And the cool thing about this is there's nowhere near the side effects of anabolic steroids. There's just not. You don't have the acne. You don't have the crazy mood swings. You don't feel like you want to shag everything in sight. You're not having all these really weird, wild, hallucinogenic thoughts and feelings that, steroids do give you. Not, again, at the start of the podcast, like I said, I'm clean as a whistle. These are all anecdotal things, but they are scientifically proven things that happen when you take these anabolic steroids. They are, for sure.
I wrote an email probably a week or 2 ago called "Are We on Our Way to Wall-E?" And yeah, which is essentially like, you know, we have things cutting our grass, we have things like Deliveroo, just food on his doorstep. Are we on his way there? And maybe maybe this company, maybe Regeneron, has read my email and gone, "We'll solve that for you, Brad. We'll solve that."
I actually think it's going the other way.
And it always makes me think, maybe it is people are wising up and they're saying, no, the way that things are going, we're not happy with this. So we're going to intervene, and rather than focusing on behavioural change, the things that take a long time, let's go for speed. People value speed. And whether that's down to things like social media content, people want things faster. They want food faster. They want information faster. They want muscle faster. They want fat loss faster. So it's no coincidence. And I can't help but feel like we'll accelerate that much that eventually, mate, we're going to crash. We're going to crash. And maybe that's where the counter movement comes in. And that's when the purists come out and they say, nope, not having this.
Yeah, same way like someone like myself, since day one, has always said, like, I know it's not healthy. I'm not in lifting weights to get as big and as jacked at any means necessary. I wanted to get big and jacked off my own back. And I'm not saying that to be like I'm a natty bro. Like, I'm not saying this to be like up my own fucking ass. I'm not. Honestly, hand on heart, I just did it because I got into it off the back of football. I wanted to be fitter, stronger. Saw that I was quite good at building muscle. Wanted to see how far I could take it. I think I might have told you actually, but I actually approached someone one time to and this was when I was young and naive. I think I was about 20 years old. And there's a guy I knew who was 16, and he'd been on for quite a few years. And he actually wrote me a stack when I was 20 years old. And he said, right, just take all this and you will get jacked and massive, basically. And I was expecting him to give me 2 or 3 things. He wrote me an A4 page of things.
No.
A4 page of different anabolic steroids, like blockers. This one will stop you getting gynecomastia, X, Y, and Z. And I just looked at it and thought, I just can't bring myself to take all that shit. It's just too much.
Too much admin.
And then what I said to myself at that point was, I said, if I ever get to the point where I hit a wall and I'm not happy, and I've gone as far as I can physically take it by myself, I'll reconvene this conversation. 15 years later, I'm still here. You know what I mean? I'm still feeling like I've got more in the tank. I can build that little bit more. I can get fitter here. I can do that. My goals have changed now. At the time, I was very much about let's get big and as massive as possible. But it wasn't healthy. I didn't go down that route. Completely gone off a tangent there. I can't remember what we were talking about. But what I will say is this. You mentioned like you can see us at some point imploding and regressing. I think the biggest implosion and regression will come when people take the weight loss drug with the myostatin inhibitor. They're now lean and they're now big in probably what is going to be a very, very short period of time. Now, we as people who understand the body really well, we know that when you change physique too quickly, things can also go a little bit awry in the body. So joints, ligaments, muscle ruptures, things like that, these can all happen. And when your body is now bigger, it's basic physics. The bigger you are, the heavier you can lift. So if you've got really big in a short period of time and you've built lots of muscle on these myostatin inhibitors, your body now feels those 20 kilo dumbbell presses, they're feeling pretty easy. Let's go 40s, baby. Let's step that bad boy up. But your tendons go, no. And all of a sudden, you're now getting big, big injuries. You're snapping things off the bone. The ligaments aren't liking it. Tendons aren't liking it. Meniscus issues because your body's just not used to having this. It's not adapted. Certain areas of the body haven't adapted to that amount of muscle growth in that short period of time. So I think injuries will become a big, big issue.
That might answer one question I've got here, mate, which is where does that leave us as coaches, maybe? Because if we're having to work alongside people at the minute who are on Ozempic, Mounjaro, all these other weight loss drugs, and we're having to work alongside, are we going to have to hold people back who are on these myostatin inhibitors and to say, right, I know you feel like you can lift those 40 dumbbells, you probably can. Let's scale it back, right? Just progress up to 22 and a half, but the frame says otherwise. I can't help but feel like we're going to act as like guardrails. That's maybe, rather than pushing people, we're going to have to pull people back. And that's maybe answered my question about where does that leave us?
That is a really good question, mate. Really good question. And I've had a few thoughts around this myself because I was having this. I basically did this whole podcast with a client in a session recently. And I told him everything. I think I'd just done the research like a few hours before, and he's really into muscle building. I was like, mate, you're gonna love this conversation around like this new drug that's coming out and all the new research. So I just sat down and while we were training, we had this big conversation about it. And he did say at the end, the last thing he said was, "Where does that leave you? What's happening in your business?" And honestly, there's going to be some tricky moments for coaches with this. I really think there is. I think if it takes to the point where it's so accessible and easy to use, coaching services will decline. I can see them declining. Now, what the role of a coach will do has to adapt over time. And I think what the kind of focus will be, because the big thing now is like my biggest sense of clientele is obviously weight loss. Every client wants to come to you for weight loss, number one. They probably want to get fitter and perform better. That's second biggest thing that I hear. Third biggest thing is I want to try and shape certain areas. Now, at the moment, these weight loss drugs are proving that they can probably do two of those things. They can help you lose body fat and they can help you build muscle. Performance-wise, not yet, but I think that is to come. So they may potentially cut out all three needs for us. There's no getting around that. There's no sugarcoating that. They may potentially see a big decline in the kind of coaching industry because there's drugs that do what coaches can do. And they might even do it a lot more effectively. You've got for a lot less pain. But do you know what I think will happen? Two things. It'll come full circle, the same way online coaching did. And we're seeing a lot more people now go back to one-to-one coaching and take on more one-to-one coaching clients because people have tried online coaching. I see a lot of people who've come to me and they say, "Ran, I've tried online. Didn't really work. It didn't happen. I wasn't that same level of accountability. I need somebody in my corner." I'm seeing that happen a lot. I've had a lot of calls of people recently who've tried online coaching. Wasn't for them. We obviously do a lot of online coaching here. It's probably 40% of the clients I coach, but I want to show them a different way of doing it. Maybe get them onto the one-to-one program and then filter them onto the online once they know exactly what they're doing. That's generally my system of how I get my clients online.
Same, yeah.
So I think it will come full circle. I think people will get to a point where they realise that I got in shape, I looked pretty good, I didn't want to keep taking these drugs, I can't take them forever. As soon as I came off them, I regained the weight. I loved how I looked, I loved that feeling. But can I do that by myself now? And when people have had that before, whether it's through their own hard work or through the assistance of drugs, people know how that felt. They know that feeling. Felt great to fit into those jeans. Felt really good to look and feel confident again in my own body and in my own skin. But I don't want to keep taking an artificial drug for this. So it'll come full circle, I think. It'll take a while, but I think it'll come full circle. Secondly, I think the role of a coach will change in the fact that we'll have to start being more specific on what we want to deliver. And for me, probably not much is going to change in the fact that a lot of people come to me because they want to learn how to lift. I get a lot of people coming here and they're complete newbies. They've never trained. They're really nervous in the gym environment. And they just want to learn. So I think a lot of people will come because they have maybe taken some weight loss drugs. They've maybe built some more muscle on these myostatin inhibitors, but they have no fucking idea what they're doing in the gym. They've got a great physique, but they've got no idea what they're doing. And that's, again, of a concept in my mind that's very hard to get around right now. Because normally, the better someone looks, the better they are in the gym. So you'll get people coming in and they'll say to you, "Look, I'm in great shape. I've taken these drugs. I've lost loads of weight. Here's my transformation. Looks cool, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's really good." But I have no idea what I'm doing. So you'll then start coaching them through all the fundamentals and the basics of lifting and things like that. I think people then, and this is another thing I think will happen. I'm giving so many predictions here. But I think when everyone looks really good, right? Let's say most people in society look really good now. Everyone's lean, everyone's pretty jacked, everyone's got great muscle mass. What's the thing that separates everyone? Because everyone wants to be different. It's how well do you perform? And then it will become like a performance thing. And I think performance coaches right now who maybe struggle because most people want this goal of looking better, being leaner, having more muscle mass, performance coaches I think will do better. Because they're people who are in great shape now want to perform well. They don't only want the body, but they want the kind of performance to back it up.
You sparked a lot of ideas in my head there. And I wrote down here, Drugs don't build skills.
Yeah.
Which you think about, like you said, it's all right looking the part, but what does it mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think Bronte Jones said it really well, where she said, "Have you got like sugar muscles?
Sugar muscles.
They're just there for show. Like, what do they do? What's the point? What's the point in all this?" So it's a really, really good prediction, that, mate. And another thing I wrote down here was the big crunch of coaches. So you know all about the Big Bang, don't you? Like, universe is ever expanding.
Yeah.
When all this kicks in, the big crunch will happen. And the people who are just on the outskirts, not really performing well, the shit coaches, basically.
Yeah.
And I say this as someone who is starting to work with more coaches, they will get the big crunch.
Yeah,
they will get the big crunch because they're not skilled enough. They're not ready to work on the technique with people. So it's made me feel a little bit better about my life, mate, knowing that we're not going to become completely redundant.
No, I totally agree with that. I think in a situation where there's like a bit of a famine in terms of business, you really see who the cream of the crop are, because they rise to the top. They end up like sweeping up all the people who, you know, people want to pay the money for, essentially. And that's where like, because recently we've had a lot of people flood the industry, for good or for worse.
Yeah.
A lot more online coaching, a lot more people wanting to kind of, you know, make their way in this industry, which is a lot more accessible to do now.
Yep.
And it unfortunately comes with a cost of, like, you've only had someone who's been in the industry for 6 months, a year, maybe even 2 years, and just the service isn't great. For someone like ourselves who've been doing it for like over a decade now, you know, this is it's a bread and butter. You know, I don't have to think twice for kind of doing what we do and delivering a great service. And I would say people come for the results, but they stay for the service.
That's a really, really good quote, actually. I like that. I don't know if you've used that in any marketing before, mate, but...
No, I've not. But I do. I know and I understand that to a T.
Yeah, and it's
no doubt about
it's
that.
the human connection as well. Like, you really get to know people, understand them, and you get to personalise it. And I'll say this till I'm blue in the face. The true results come from when things are personalised, where you're in a position where someone understands you and they can ask you the right questions. And as good as something like ChatGPT is at the minute, it doesn't ask very deep questions. It asks very surface level questions, to the point where, and I did something a little bit, I'd say it's treason for a coach to do this, mate. But I used ChatGPT to write myself a program because I was curious.
Interesting. I've done exactly the same thing before. I put that same prompt in there because I had, it was actually at a barbecue. A guy I know came up to me and he said, "I'm on this new program." I said, "Oh, you being coached?" He says, "Yeah." That's brilliant. He goes, "Who you buy?" It's ChatGPT. And I says, "What did you put in?" He goes, "I just said, write me a 4-week push-pull legs program." And I thought, fascinating. I'm actually really intrigued to know what it came up with. He goes, "We'll just put it in. Put whatever you want in. You can put nutrition plans, anything." So I did it. Yeah. And mate, honestly, wasn't that bad.
Yeah. The difference that I found, and I'm going to link this to the weight loss drugs are evolving as well, because if that's happening and we're turning towards drugs, you combine that with AI and some really, really good prompts with it. I could obviously prompt it really well because I've been doing this for well over a decade. And it did spit out a pretty good program.
Okay.
But what it lacked was character. It lacked depth. That's a very hard thing to explain to somebody, but it lacked a personality. Like, I think I write people programs and they've got a bit of flair to them. There's something in there that I know they'll love. Yeah. There's something in there that, based on their past experience from seeing their eyes light up when I mention bicep curls, that there's a variation in there that they're going to love. Yeah. And it just lacked. It was like the ultimate mediocre generator. Yeah. It's the ultimate median
for a beginner, probably a perfect. But for someone who's maybe been training a few years and wants to mix things up, not quite cutting the mustard.
And I thought, let me just go a level deeper on this. Let me ask it, can you give me some cues for my leg extension? Weren't half bad. And then you propped a bit further. Can you give me some cues for a leg extension for wanting to build muscle, run fast or whatever? Really good as well. Okay. And I look at that and I think, okay, this is what we've got presented in our future. We've got weight loss drugs that are getting ever more present. We've got AI that's evolving. We're going to have to learn how to deal with this and not see it as competition, but as a tool, as an aid, as a time efficiency thing. We have to look at it that way.
Yeah, I'm not... I'm not ever going to see it as competition. I have, maybe it's big-headed, I don't know, but I've just got too much confidence in the service I provide. I think it's so personal, like from the messages I send out, like individually to clients on a weekly basis, checking in with them, having a bit of banter, the jokes you have in sessions, the way I can just call someone up occasionally and say, man, I've got a great idea for this tweak in a program. What do you think? I just don't think AI is going to have that same personal touch to a program that I can really bring. And the biggest issue is this, like, it's people finding us and where we are and knowing that we're available. Everyone knows ChatGPT, right? Yeah. Everyone knows weight loss drugs.
It's always available.
It's always available, more easily accessible than we are. And, you know, that's the biggest sense of competition there.
Surely that makes our value more because we're more scarce. ChatGPT is always there for you.
Yeah,
It'll always be there, which, in my opinion, makes it valuable for information, but not for wisdom or knowledge or...
Ooh, I like that. Valuable for information, but not wisdom.
I've put something here as well. I'm probably overthinking this now, mate, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Okay.
From a legacy coaching perspective, all right? So it might not affect us because we provide a really, really good service, but I want you to imagine that Teddy and Harlow want to do what we do. They're really inspired. They've listened to all of us stuff, God forbid.
Yeah.
And they're really inspired what we do. Do you think this episode is going to prepare them for the future of here's how you prepare for, this is probably what you're going to be faced with, here's how you adapt it?
I hope so. I think we've laid out the facts and figures in this episode so far about the new weight loss drugs. Does it essentially prepare them for what's to come? I don't think so, because I'm not sure we know how to prepare for it, because we don't know what's on the horizon. We only know when it's presented to us and we know the direction it's going in. It's a bit like, I don't know, right? It's like being on a tightrope at the moment. And on the horizon, you can see a storm coming in. You're on a tightrope between two buildings at 30,000, at 5,000 feet, right? And you can see a storm on the horizon. Now, this storm could either go around you or it could come straight through you. You just don't know yet. And we won't know how to adapt to it, and whether we need to kind of just get onto that rope and start wheeling ourselves like this or continue walking. I think it's ever evolving. Things are changing at a radical pace in the kind of weight loss and AI movements. We just need to really knuckle down with like what we offer, our service, and just make sure that we are what we say we are, which is at the heart of it, personal trainers, people who deal with people personally and get them to where they need to be. And I think it will come full circle. I really do. I think there'll be a big uptake over here in the UK, especially with these weight loss drugs. And if they ever do commercially get put with this activin A and myostatin inhibitor addition, it'll be a global phenomenon. It really will. But I think it'll come full circle when people want to perform. And we're seeing a huge movement in running. We did the episode about the running revival, where running's getting massive now, right? So runners might go, right, I want a bit more muscle mass. Let's start taking some activin A and we'll take a bit of this semaglutide and we'll stay in great nick. But I want to perform better. So alongside looking really good, how do I then start performing better in my runs? Okay, I need to factor in certain protocols in my training, explosive jumps. I need some plyometric work. These high rocks events now are huge. Who's the best at high rocks? Now, there's no doubt about in my mind that some of these high rocks elite 15 athletes are already on like performance enhancing drugs. It's an untested sport, but it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. The mass population of people want to look better. That's less body fat and more muscle mass, and this drug solves it all.
I agree. Do you know what an event horizon is, Ryan?
An event horizon, no.
So when you approach an event horizon, there's no going back. It's specifically for black holes. So when you enter into a event horizon of a black hole, you can't turn around. It's one way. You just go down into that black hole, you get spaghettified, and that's it. Game over.
Spaghettified?
Spaghettified, yeah.
Is that a
scientific thing, yeah?
Is that an actual scientific term?
Apparently, it's theorized. If you go into a black hole, the force is that big that your molecules get spaghettified, and you will become...
Oh, I'd love to see that in real time.
I don't know if you would, mate. But I think everything has an event horizon. Any big movement has an event horizon. So AI has definitely got it. We'll get to a stage with AI and maybe Terminator will kick in and we're like, we can't undo this now. It's now got a mind of its own. We can't change it. Weight loss drugs are probably going to be the same. There'll be an event horizon, but I think this is going to be different. I think the event horizon is going to be public opinion. And the event horizon is going to be when that happens with the myostatin and the weight loss drugs. The public opinion will have changed that much. There's no going back.
Yeah.
There's no going back. That'll be us changed forever. So it's a very different event horizon. But
Interesting.
when that happens, it'll be the world will spaghettify.
Yeah, look, it's crazy wild times, but I'm not. There's no part of me that's like, damn, I wish these drugs weren't around and we could just continue what we're doing. I'm genuinely excited. Like before I was a coach, I've been doing this for 10 years. 10 years ago, I was just a guy who'd been training for like 12 years. And my passion started from performance, looking good, being the best you can be in every aspect of being in shape and performing. So for someone who's just genuinely passionate about where people can take these things, it's exciting for me. It really is. There's that part of my brain that's like, this is really fucking cool. Like companies out there now are doing what like we were trying to do, without any of this for many, many years. But there is also the side that goes, I've also got a mortgage to pay and I hope things don't get affected there. So it's going to be interesting. It is going to be fascinating. But I'd say I'm more excited than I am nervous around it, for sure.
My parting message for this is there going to be that same passion for a purist legacy moving forward? I'd argue not. I genuinely think that. I think the passion will come from somewhere else. I think it'll come, like you said, more performance-based. That's going to be the next shift. And it will come in waves. But
well, look at it this way. There's drugs you can take right now that will get you jacked. We call them anabolic steroids. We've touched on those a few times in this podcast. They're not taken by every gym goer. And actually, there's a bit of a purist movement, you could say, in terms of like the natty lifters, and you'll see it in a guy's Instagram bio, right? I'm, lifetime natty, which usually means he's been on Anavar once, and now he hasn't, and now he's like saying he's been lifetime natty. Right. I think there'll always be a purist movement. I think there will. I think guys who are relatively in pretty good nick right now will probably stay purist because they know they don't need it. When their mindset's in the right place, they will perform and they know they can get good results. I think the big movement for these weight loss drugs combined with the myostatin inhibitors will be with people who have always struggled with consistency, have always found it hard to build muscle, hard gainers, people who've been overweight, maybe guys who are a little bit like tubby but have got a bit of muscle mass underneath. Great, I can get leaner and I can get a bit more jacked. Awesome. I think that'll be the people that opt for it. I think there still will be a lot of purists because a lot of guys who are in relatively good nick and think, I don't need that.
I've got a parting question for you, Ryan, if you're willing to indulge me.
I'm always willing to indulge you, brothers. 200
years in the future, if you can just stay there for 5 minutes, you can peek your head in, have a look what's left. Oof. What does the world look like in 200 years' time, according to Ryan Dutton?
Aliens.
Just that's it. There's no Earth left.
Aliens have come. They've invaded. There's three-headed monsters riding around.
That's what we all wanted, mate. I'll end it there.
I knew I'd get aliens into this somehow. Honestly, I don't know, mate. God knows. It's hard to predict where we'll be in 2 years' time, let alone 200 years' time, right? With the way things are moving. But my prediction still stands in that I actually think that within the decade, there'll be a drug that's a weight loss drug, muscle building drug, and a performance drug in a trifecta drug that will give you everything you want in terms of performing better, fitness levels, lifting heavier, more jacked in terms of muscle mass, and it'll have you leaner. And I think there'll be an array of these on the market that you can take.
I have to echo that. In 200 years' time, my prediction is going to be, and I'll never know if this is true, my great-great-great-grandkids might listen to this one day and be like, old Grandad Brad losing his marbles.
If World War III hasn't broke out by then.
Well, this is what I mean. Like, my prediction, if we've not wiped itself out, is the world's probably going to be healthier. I really do.
Mm.
I think we'll figure it out. I think we're going to get a little bit more take care of the planet. I think we're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's just my faith in humanity that there's still some good there.
In the last 10 years, right, how much has there been a bigger push on everything lower calorie, everything protein based?
Yep.
People becoming more savvy, like knowledge is power now, and the internet's been amazing in its job for that, like dishing out information around what is healthy and what's not. There's countless information by everyone out there, me and you included, about what's good and what's not to get in shape and be healthy. And I probably agree with that. I think we're going to get healthier. I think there's someone on the planet right now that's going to live to 150.
Yeah.
There's someone alive right now that'll live to 150.
Brian Johnson.
Probably. Well, he's going to live forever. He'll way surpass 150.
Yeah.
Brian Johnson's living forever. Yeah, who knows? It's good to think about the future, isn't it? It's interesting. It's kind of like,
It's given me a lot to think about, and I really want to encourage people to go and listen to the first episode we did, maybe for a contrast.
Yeah.
Just to be like, this is the evolution for us.
I think we've probably talked about a lot of the same things. I can't remember exactly, but I think we were talking about like how it'll affect us and the industry and who'll take it. I think there was a lot of that kind of talk. But yeah, definitely go back, listen to episode 1 of the weight loss drugs, and might give you some context as to kind of what we've talked about in today's episode.
Can I bring this Pokemon full circle?
Yeah. See how much the Pokemon analogy was accurate, by the way.
Very. I mean, our first episode we did was Charmander. All right, that was starter Pokemon. You pick your fire, starter Pokemon. But
that was semaglutide.
Yeah, we're quickly approaching Charizard, mate.
Yeah, we are.
We really are. And Charizard's really cool.
But the thing is, how many levels above that is there going to be? Who knows? Is there going to be? And this is fascinating. I mean, we could go on for another half an hour here.
For that Charizard.
But there'll probably be a drug at some point as well, let's be honest, that makes you look more attractive. We've got creams, we've got plastic surgery, we've got all these things, harsh procedures. How long is it before they start changing your DNA sequence so your facial features start to change? And then you start to look like more, what's called the Fibonacci sequence, which is where, your face looks quite symmetrical and more quote-unquote beautiful. There's going to be those drugs, I guarantee it, where you inject 2 or 3 things into your face once a month and your face just suddenly starts turning into something more pretty, shall we say?
I think that phase 1 drug exists, mate.
What's that?
Alcohol.
Beer goggles. Damn it, I forgot they're already invented.
Damn it. We've already got them.
Right, should we end it there?
Let's do it, mate. Let's do it.
Mate, thank you for entertaining me today. It's really good of you. And hopefully you guys have had some good insights into what happens or what is happening with the weight loss drugs. We're excited to kind of do maybe some more updates on this. So if anything comes out, we'll let you know. But for now, thank you for joining us on the Fit Dads podcast. We'll see you next one.
See you soon.
My man.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you.
Enjoyed that.